the microphone. Okay. Okay, I'll speak into the microphone. Our first roaster this evening. Now, I was talking to him earlier this morning, and he told me he didn't feel like himself today, and I said, I noticed an improvement. Anyway, help me welcome a true champion. He is the current District 47 reigning heavyweight champion, the district governor himself. Put your hands together for Ron Park DTL!
I didn't know there was going to be math.
Well, to get him some remedial training. That's right. Hello, Toastmasters friends, and even Karl. I come up here today, and I was a little concerned about this, because this is precarious for me, as I'll be the next past district governor roasted at the fall conference, and I wanted to make sure that Karl wouldn't be looking to seek revenge. So I thought the best way to do that would be to give him a gift as part of the roast. But in the process, I think I solved my problem in an even better way. You see, what I thought is Karl has such a distinguished career and has been a roast master and an asset or something like that to our district for so long that I thought it appropriate to give him a higher designation than Distinguished Toastmaster. Karl has DTM badge 51, and I know he's always thought, I wish it was a little lower number than that. Well, I called up Dan Ricks, the Executive Director of all Toastmasters, who I know well. I said, Dan, this is Ron Parker. What do you want now? Yeah, it's okay. If you know Dan and I explained to him that Karl has been a Distinguished Toastmaster badge over the whole history. I said, I would like to create a new level of Toastmasters designation for him throughout Toastmasters and let him be badge number 1 to recognize really distinguished Toastmasters. Dan said, well, let me go look into that for you, Ron, and see what kind of history. About a week or so later, Dan got back to me. He says, Ron, there's a bit of a problem. He says, there's a gap in Karl's records. We showed him back into where he was district governor, but then he kind of disappears, but reappears back in the early days of Toastmasters, and in fact was a member of the founding club, a charter member of the club founded by Ralph Smedley himself. I said, well, how can that be? I mean, we know he's old. And how does he maintain that youthful appearance? Well, I decided to do some research, and I went where I knew I could find the truth, the internet. I researched Karl thoroughly, and I found out that he really was around back then. And looking further into it, I found that his mother was actually born back in the 1800s, and her maiden name was Gray. A little more research found out that his maternal grandmother, or his maternal grandfather's name, was Dorian. Well, I'm not a literary scholar, but I could put 2 and 2 and 2 together and come up with 126, and I realized very quickly the secret of Karl's youthful appearance, and that he's a whole lot older than we thought he is. A whole lot. Well, this immediately coined an idea. The light bulb went off in my head, and I said, I know how I can not only persuade Karl to be kind to the false, probably not to roast me at all. Because I found that he made the same sort of deal with the devil that his maternal grandfather had, and had a picture made to age for him. All I needed to do was find this picture. And being a savvy internet user, I went where I knew that I could find anything in the world that I needed for a good price. eBay. Being an avid eBay user with a few advanced searches, I was able to find just what I was looking for. The problem was the buy it now price was astronomical. But it had an opening bid of just 99 cents. And no one had bid on it. So I bid $5 because I figured that was what it was worth. And no one bid against me. So I was able to win it. And I have, Mr. Sergeant at Arms, would you please show Karl what I was able to obtain on eBay? So you see, Karl, I know that this is a very important package to you and that you would not want any harm to come to it, or for it to be accidentally opened. No, let me explain. I'm afraid we'll talk about that in the fall, but I'll keep this in safekeeping until the fall conference, and I know you won't be roasting anyone this fall. We'll make sure that we're all taken care of until then. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sartre. This gets me back to Dan Rex, I called Dan back and I said, Dan, you know, I found out the history and I told him the whole thing. He said, well, you know, I did school research too, Ron, and there really isn't anybody else in Toastmasters like Karl. We'd like to give him a recognition, a new designation, but we at International we're a worldwide organization. We've got 250,000 members in 106 countries, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I've heard of it, okay. We can't make a new designation for one member, because obviously no one else would ever be qualified. However, Dan said, Ron, you've always been a good leader, and we at International Headquarters would not have any trouble with District 84 creating a designation for one of your own members within District 84. So, Karl, by the power vested in me by Toastmasters International and District 84, I present you with the first ETM award. That stands for Extinguished Toastmaster. Badge number
1. Thank you. You know they said that this your badge number 51 was? Oh, that's right. Now he's number 1. You know, it just occurred to me that there's an area with that number. And look at his appearance. Check the age. I'm beginning to make a correlation here. Anyway, this just in. I'd like to read this to you. Actually, I don't like to, but I will. When I joined Toastmasters, Karl was our district governor. I hung around for over 25 years, but I never did figure out what he did. I left still not knowing what he did. And this came from Luke Thumb, his district governor, 1987 to 1988. So I just wanted to share those kind words with you. Our next roaster is Jordan Kamenker, and he's sitting